French ANZAC landed actually on the Galipoli Peninsula. Gallipoli campaign lasted about 9 months. So what was happening after 9 months? They defeated on the Gallipoli Peninsula the Allied forces. Of course, after that, when the Turks joined the German side, they started to prepare all like the defense system on the Gallipoli Peninsula to get ready for this attack. They put more fresh their forces. They put more guns on the Gallipoli Peninsula. Prepare all the Turkish defense on the Gallipoli Peninsula.
Gallipoli in Turkey is very significant for Australians and New Zealanders because of ANZACs, which stands for
Australian New Zealand Army Corps.
We commemorate the event of the Gallipoli campaign every year. We have ANZAC Day.
April 25th, that's the day that they landed here at ANZAC Cove.
We make ANZAC cookies, we have memorial services, and it's an important part of our culture. Here is where every year on ANZAC Day, everyone lines up here ready for the dawn service at 4:30 in the morning. And our guide was just telling us that people have to arrive the night before, and they just have to
camp out,
rug up and wait the night out until it's time for the service.
All through the year, because I'm sure that you heard about all the time ANZAC Cove. So when I said to my group, this is ANZAC Cove, so most of the time my group says, that's it, But small, tiny, not too big, but 1915, during the Gallipoli campaign, from the beginning till end of the campaign, this little cove became a big base for ANZAC battlefield. Means where the supply, food, ammunition, everything for ANZAC battlefield came in right down to ANZAC Cove. So from ANZAC Cove, right up the top, front line where they're fighting,
We just learned that for the Turkish, the 18th of March is a day that they celebrate when they remember World War I, which is interesting for us because when we think about Gallipoli and World War I, it's all tragedy and commemoration. Whereas for them, this day on the 18th of March was when the British and the French were first bringing their battleships in and they defended their country, so they celebrated that. This is a huge thing. He was telling us that they
have universities and schools and roads
and it's
all these schools and universities and everything, they're all named after that. So there's a university that's called March 18th because it's a celebration for them.
It's a good thing to hear both sides, and that now both sides have come together in friendship and in understanding, and that we honour and respect both sides of the story. I think that's really special.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see more of that as we look around today.
It's really good to remember.
And for those who don't know why Gallipoli was so important, here's a bit of backstory.
Alright, Gallipoli is really just one of the theatres of war during World War I, and it really cut off the supply between the Allied forces of Russia, France and England. So once Turkey joined the war, they really cut that off, and it was an important part. So the Allies came here wanting to retake Istanbul, wanting to open up those supply lines. And so Gallipoli, this small little tiny peninsula right down here on the Mediterranean here in Turkey, was just such a small landmass, but it was just so important. Over the course of 9 months of this campaign, there was over 1 million soldiers involved, both on the Allied and the Turkish side. Just incredible that this all happened right here on this really small bit of land.
Great tour guide explained to us all about how when they first arrived at 4:30 in the morning, they almost reached their destination. And then at 7 o'clock, Ataturk started receiving reports of the landings And initially he thought it might be a diversionary tactic, so he didn't do anything, but by 11 o'clock he'd sent troops in and pushed them back to a 1 kilometre radius from ANZAC Cove, and for the next 9 months they never made it past 1 kilometre.
We're going to stop again in a couple of minutes. This time you're going to see, not a cemetery, you're going to see the statue of a Turkish soldier carrying the wounded ANZAC soldier.
There was this understanding of mutual respect where both sides understood that they were fighting for their countries and their rights and their own beliefs, and that respect didn't make it an ugly war. It wasn't,
It's like humanity in the horror. That's what we're learning about. It's really difficult to learn about, but these stories shine a little bit of light in the tragedy of everything.
This is the place, Long Pine, but why they called Long Pine for the place? The reason, remember, no cover 1915 on the peninsula, but still a few trees at the places. So only one single pine tree, but original tree, of course, during the Gallipoli campaign, gone. So what was happening after that? Australians got some seeds from the original tree for souvenir. They keep it, some of them during the Gallipoli, some of them after the Gallipoli, sent back to Australia to their families. 1990, like about 31 years ago, Australian government brought back another seed from Australia to Gallipoli and planted this tree, just be parked underneath.
Appropriate that we are suffering while we're learning about this, like emotionally and mentally, but physically. Like, it is so hot, so we're struggling with the heat to walk around and learn and pay attention because it's so hot, and then we hear about like the conditions that the soldiers were in, and it just like hits home a bit extra.
Well, we learned that, even in the height of summer, which is what we're in now in August, I mean, we're actually here on August the 6th, which I didn't know until today, but that's actually the first day of the Battle of Lone Pine. So this is 106 years ago this happened, and it's hot. And these soldiers often just had 1 cup of water for the whole day.
That's what the rations got down to. It began at a litre each, and then by the end they were down to 1 cup. Again, we're here at Lone Pine, and we've just learnt all about it, and we've seen the one American who was involved in Galipoli, and we have seen the youngest soldier
14 years old.
14. And anyway, we're having this discussion about like all this fighting here in this part of the world. Like, I understand that the Turks were defending their homeland, but on our side of it, like, all this fighting, did it achieve anything in the grand scheme of things?
Not as far as the
outcome.
The outcome of the Allied forces.
And so as we're learning about all this death and looking at all these graves of these like beautiful memorials by their parents, it's horrible.
Well, war is not a fun thing.
And this whole fighting,
nobody wins in war.
Like everything, thousands of lives, the fighting that happened here was a diversionary tactic for the Kiwis, so that they could get this like really important place, and they held it for 36 hours.
And then they were
repelled. That was it. So it was just like, I just find it really hard to wrap my head around.
I wonder sometimes what it would have been like as a soldier, knowing that you're about to go in and you would see your friends and those, fellow soldiers that you knew, dropping and being killed around you, and even knowing that this is your life you're putting on, knowing that you're the diversionary force.
Charles Monroe became the commander of the Allied forces, and then after that he visited the Galipoli Peninsula. He checked everything, checked all the positions, like all about the places, Helles, ANZAC, Sula, you know, he checked everything. And after that, he had a big report. So end of the report, he was saying very shortly, no point, no sense for Galipoli. The best thing here, just quickly withdraw from the Galipoli Peninsula. So the final decision by the British government, of course, the same as well. At the end, they decided just quickly withdraw from the Galipoli Peninsula.
We're finishing off our tour of Gallipoli at the highest point here called,
Bear.
and I don't know, at the end of it I feel humbled, I feel grateful, I feel sad, I feel happy to have heard some of the stories that give me hope in humanity. I really do, like that meant a lot to me, hearing the stories of when the opposing sides would help each other out. Like, I know it seems counterproductive, but something about that gives me hope.
Yeah, I mean that story of the Turkish officer who came out of his trench to lift up, you know, a suffering Allied, you know, soldier and take him back to his trench. Just shows that the heart is often more powerful to do good than it is to do bad.